Not too long ago, over 400 people lived here. White men called them Nootkas. The Nootkas have made their home on the west coast of Vancouver Island for 4,000 years. In all the world, their culture is unique. This man was able to make or hunt everything he needed. All summer, the children played among the rocks and helped their mothers collect seaweed and mussels. The men paddled out in long canoes to fish for cod and halibut and to spear the humpback whale. From the bark of the cedar tree, women wove clothes and blankets. No one had ever heard of Spain or England or of anyone with a name like King George or Captain Cook. Soon, it would seem, everybody in the world would know that name. James Cook was born in the north of England in 1728. He grew up in this house. His father was a farmhand. At 17, he became an apprentice seaman. He sailed the British coast for 10 years, working his way through the ranks of the coal trade. He survived to become master of his own ship. Then, for reasons that are not clear, James Cook joined the Royal Navy as an able seaman. 2 years later, he was in Canada, promoted to master, charting the shoreline of the St. Lawrence River. His detailed surveys of the river enabled General Wolfe to attack Quebec from the Plains of Abraham. His meticulous charts of Newfoundland brought him to the attention of the Royal Society. It was a time of great optimism and faith in science. Precision instruments were making the world manageable. This new clock would enable a ship's captain to chart his position anywhere in the world. Much of the world was still a mystery. In 1768, an expedition was sent by the British government to explore the unknown reaches of the Pacific Ocean. James Cook was chosen to lead it. Cook made 2 long voyages into the Pacific. He charted the coastlines of Australia and New Zealand, and before returning, sailed farther south than any man had ever been. Much of what we know about a way of life that has been destroyed is due to the efforts of the artists he took with him. To all of Europe, it seemed as if Cook had traveled back in time to a primitive Garden of Eden. In terms of business, Cook's discoveries were disappointing. London merchants were much more interested in a sea route to China. Fortunes were made in tea and silk, not coconuts. Experts still believed that somewhere in northern Canada there must be an ice-free passage from the Atlantic to the Pacific. To settle the matter, the British government persuaded Captain Cook to make one more exploratory voyage. The dockyards began to ready his ships, but Cook found no time to supervise. He was a celebrity. He had a portrait to sit for, and he was not well. Corruption in the shipyards resulted in hulls that leaked and ropes that pulled apart in your hands. Cook seems to have been abstracted from his task. He became irritable and often depressed. But all of England believed that if anyone could find the Northwest Passage, it was James Cook. Cook arrived off the northwest coast of America in March. He needed wood and water. His masts were so rotten they were in danger of collapsing. A break in the weather enabled him to look for a safe anchorage. The Nootkas knew about white men. Spanish explorers had been in the area 4 years earlier. White men were well known for their metal knives and axes, and they were said to be friendly. The Indians accompanied the ships to their anchorage. Some spent the entire night in their canoes, watching beside the vessels. Trading began in earnest the next day. An animal skin or a carved mask would buy a spike or a brass belt buckle. Any metal was adaptable as a tool or for jewelry. The strangers spent much of their time ashore. They built a forge on the beach and collected wood. In 2 weeks, they were drinking homemade spruce beer. The ship's carpenters set to work sawing up driftwood logs and repairing the masts. On observation rock, they calculated their exact position. Cook's sketch of Nootka Sound is as accurate now as the day he made it. On 2 occasions, Cook ventured out into the Sound to survey the coastline. He discovered several Indian villages, not all of which were friendly. 3 days before leaving, he took John Webber, his ship's artist, to the Nootka village at Yuquot. These are the first drawings made on the northwest coast of North America by a European. A spike is being offered in payment for a sea otter fur. The sailors were eager to acquire these luxurious skins to keep themselves warm in the Arctic. Sketching these carved figures cost Webber every button on his jacket. He had to work quickly. He had only 1 afternoon in which to depict an entire culture. Many of the drawings were left as rough sketches. Although Webber was more at ease composing inanimate details, his portraits reveal definite, if slightly westernized personalities. A West Coast rainforest comes to resemble a picturesque Italian landscape. It was an emotional farewell. Business had been good. The Nootkas would have lots of sea otters to trade when the sailors returned. But Captain Cook would never return. As the summer wore on, the expedition failed to find a northwest route to China. The ships turned south again, for the islands of Hawaii. The Hawaiians received Cook as a god, but he had little patience for them. He was moody and short-tempered. One morning he went ashore to recover a stolen longboat. An argument erupted on the beach. He paid for sudden anger with his life. A year later, on their way home, the ships put into Macau in China. At that time, it was the height of fashion for Chinese gentlemen to trim their jackets with luxurious furs, a style set by the emperor himself. The most sought-after fur of all was the Pacific sea otter. Some of the sailors sold their sea otter pelts from Nootka Sound for over 100 Spanish gold pieces each. Cook's journals, published 5 years later, became a bestseller. All Europe was thrilled by his discoveries. His charts opened up the Pacific to everyone. This map, showing the location of the sea otters, set off a stampede for Nootka Sound. At first, you could collect over 2,000 sea otter furs in a month. The Nootkas controlled the hunt and refused to trade unless the exchange was to their liking. Spain built a European settlement at Yuquot. The Nootkas and the Spanish soon became close friends. When Britain contested the Spanish claim, it was agreed that the village should become neutral territory. Chinese merchants soon had a surfeit of sea otter furs. The hunt continued, but as time went on, the animals were becoming harder to find. Rifles proved to be very effective. By 1900, virtually every sea otter off the west coast of Canada had been killed. The sea otters, while they lived, made a few men very wealthy. James Cook, who spent a month at Nootka Sound and who never saw a living sea otter, would not have chosen such a legacy. His interests were scientific. He came to regret his role in Europeanizing the Pacific and feared for the future of its inhabitants. "We debauch their morals," he wrote, "and introduce among them wants and perhaps diseases which they never before knew. Let them tell what the natives of the whole extent of America have gained by the commerce they have had with Europeans." James Cook became a new kind of romantic hero, the self-made man. Yet he was a very human being. He was curious, dedicated, and compassionate, and he was stubborn. It took all these qualities to define the edges of a world most people had never dreamed of.